But
Yes.
Mary, it just feels like, I think there's a lot of like good-hearted Protestants who are like, look, I get it. She was a wonderful person. I can even call her blessed because she said all generations will call her blessed. But all you Catholics say about her is over the top. So I was thinking,
That's
Tim,
right.
unless you wanted to say anything before we get into it, I'd love to
Sure.
talk about some of these things: Mother of God, Perpetual
Yes.
Virgin, Immaculate
Yes.
Conception.
Most Protestants, certainly the more traditional Protestants, agree with us, at least conceptually, with regard to Mary being the mother of God. Among evangelicals, fundamentalists, it's a no-go. But again, now our more traditional Protestants don't understand the ramifications involved, what follows from the fact that Mary is the mother of God, but they would at least acknowledge that Jesus Christ is God. Mary is the mother of Jesus. The syllogism is airtight. It follows necessarily Mary is the mother of God. But I was raised, Matt, in a tradition that taught, like Jimmy Swaggart in his book Catholicism versus Christianity, Dr. Walter Martin, who some of your followers or watchers here who are Protestant probably remember. Dr. Walter Martin, at the time, way back in the 70s and 80s, he was probably the most popular Protestant apologist in the world, certainly in the United States. And Dr. Walter Martin was a famous opponent of Mary as Mother of God. And the problem I had with Mary as Mother of God is you seem to be making a God out of Mary. Because look, one of the reasons why, or one of the ways we know Jesus is God, is he reveals himself as the Son of God. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, monogenes. He is the only Son by nature. Of course, angels are sons by participation. We are sons by adoption as well as participation. But Jesus alone is revealed to be Son by nature. And in that revelation, then, of course, he is revealed as God. And of course, we all agree as Christians on that point. And so, Matt, in my mind, I can remember thinking, when they say Mary's the mother of God, you are ipso facto necessarily saying Mary is God, because a dog gives birth to a dog, cat, cat, human, human, God, God. You've got a quadrinity. And that was a huge problem with me. And I'll guarantee you some folks listening right now have that problem as well.
Right, I think some people would say, okay, if you say Mary is the mother of God, you're saying that she's the source of his divinity. And so a lot of
Exactly.
Protestants I know, and some of them at least, want to say, okay, well, she
Yes.
gave birth to the human nature. What do you say to that?
Right, right. You know, this reminds me, in fact, in my book, Behold Your Mother, which I know you've read and memorized,
Of
right?
course, it is honestly one of the best, probably the best book. In fact, nay, the best book I've read on apologetics as it pertains to Mary and what Catholics think of her. Really, really good.
Okay, I'll pay you later.
Thank you.
At any rate, in Behold Your Mother, I make the point there years ago. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that was 1986, Matt. That means I'm officially old.
I was 3.
But
Continue.
yes, but there was a debate, and I was excited because I was in the midst of really the throes of my Catholic studies. I was in my final year in the Marine Corps. I'd met my buddy, Sergeant Matt Dooler. For those of you who don't know, this is the guy that got me started toward Rome, and we were going at it, and I hear, oh my goodness, Dr. Walter Martin's going to debate this crazy Jesuit, Father Mitch Pacwa, who I'd never heard of at this time. He was just a young buck, just out of 21 years of the seminary. Literally, he was in the seminary for 21 years, Father Pacwa. Nobody really knew him back then, but he debated Walter Martin. And in that debate, Walter Martin, whose book, The Kingdom of the Cults, I had read and devoured and memorized, I read it actually multiple times, still have it. He makes this very point in the debate with Father Pacwa. He says, look, if you accept this syllogism, Jesus is God, Mary's the mother of Jesus, therefore, or Jesus is God, Mary's the mother of Jesus, therefore Mary's the mother of God, well, then you have to then say, God is Trinity, Mary's the mother of God, therefore Mary's the mother of the Trinity, pal. Right? And I'm going, yeah, answer that, you crazy Jesuit, right? And of course, Father Pacwa just calmly responds and says, look, you have an invalid syllogism there, pal. You're equivocating on terms. When you say God is Trinity, that is a true proposition. However, you are not necessarily referring to all three persons. Because we have three persons of the Blessed Trinity, we can say the Father is God, the Son is God, and the Holy Spirit is God, and we don't have to be referring to all three persons at all times. And so your syllogism fails because, yes, God is Trinity, but Mary, being the mother of God, is not the mother of the Trinity because the Father and the Holy Spirit were not incarnate. It was only the second person of the Blessed Trinity who was incarnate. And I have to tell you, Matt, this was like a first step. It made sense to me, and I'm going, wow, he blew away Walter Martin's syllogism there. But he still didn't answer the question because Martin still had the comeback that, okay, well, even if I say, okay, maybe I was a little bit off here, still the second person of the Blessed Trinity has a divine nature. So if you say Mary's the mother of the second person of the Blessed Trinity, you're still saying she's the source of divinity. And I'll tell you, Walter Martin got torched in this debate, and so did Tim Staples, who was watching it. When Father Pacwa used just a simple, it rocked my world back then. I didn't like the fact, that I was wrong here. But he says, look, think about it. Mom, dad get together, get married, and they have a baby. All right. My wife and I were the source of the human soul of my son.
No.
And of course we say no, because we're not traducianists, right? No, obviously not. Well, wait a minute. Does that mean then that for the rest of Tim's life, he should be, should this mean the rest of his life he should be saying to his mother, hello, mother of my body? Of course not. And why is that? Because even though Val and I, my wife and I, are only the source of the body, physically speaking, that's what we gave to our son. My wife didn't give birth to a body. She didn't even give birth to a nature. She gave birth to a person who is a body-soul composite. And so we say, we are the parents. I am the father. She is the mother of Timmy. Well, in the same way, Father Pacwa points out, when Mary gave birth, did she give birth to a body? No, she did not. She didn't give birth to is only the source of the human body of Jesus. That doesn't mean she is not his mother. Right? Because she didn't give birth to a body. She didn't give birth to a nature. She didn't even give birth to two natures. She gave birth to a person. And this is where the debate turned, Matt. And Father Pacwa made the devastating connection here that blew my mind. He said, look, if you deny Mary is the mother of God, you are denying something essential about the person of Jesus Christ, the nature of Jesus Christ as the God-man, because you end up separating Jesus into two persons. Because who did, and Father had asked the question, I've asked thousands of my Protestant friends down through the last several decades, who did Jesus, or who did Mary give birth to? Who? Was it God? And real quick, you saw it in the book. I have a little anecdote in the book about a debate I had years ago. It was actually in a Catholic church. There was about 700 people there at the debate with a Protestant minister. And during the debate, we got to this point on the Mother of God, and I asked him these questions. I said, okay, well, look, let's just simplify things here. Let me ask you this. Do you believe Jesus is God? He said, yes. I said, do you believe that he was God when he was 6 months old? He said, absolutely. And I'm going, thank goodness, because we'd have more work to do, right? Okay, yes. Was he God when he was 6 months in the womb of the Blessed Virgin Mary? Little bit of a slower response, but yes.
He saw where you were going.
Yes. And then I asked the question, was he God when he was coming out of the womb of the Blessed Virgin Mary? And there was kind of silence. Well, yes. Is Mary the mother of God? You could have heard a pin drop. There was silence in the whole church for about 10 awkward seconds. And then he exclaimed, "No, she's not the mother of God." And I said, "Brother, I think you need to go home and pray on that a little bit, because I think you know that, yes, she is the mother of God, man. Then there is no way around the fact that Mary is, in fact, the mother of God." And that was a huge step for me, because I saw it. And then I dove in and I started studying Mariology. I got books. I started reading Fathers of the Church on it, and man, did I get myself in trouble.